Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to Las Vegas. Welcome to Summit. Welcome to our session here today, how Thomson Reuters is leveraging native alerts and email notifications to manage costs. So what we'll go through over the next half hour, 40 minutes or so is just an introduction of ourselves and who we are at Thomson Reuters. If you're unaware of who we are, just want to do a quick run through of who we are, and then the team that we're on within technology called platform engineering. So Thomson Reuters and Snowflake. So what is our use case? What are the teams across the landscape using Snowflake for, and where we ran into some issues? Where we are in platform engineering is that we are actually an administrative team. So we're administrators of the overall product. We're not building the data pipelines. We're not building the data applications. So we sit on top of all of it, managing for the organization. After I take you through that, Chelsea's going to take you through just a solution overview of an issue that we had towards long-running queries. We'll get into a solution and some of those details of features that are actually available to you in Snowflake today that you can use to help yourself manage costs. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Tim Smith. I am the manager of big data engineering at Thomson Reuters. I've been at Thomson Reuters about a year and a third now. So absolutely love it there. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada, and previously I was at Rogers Communications, spent about 15 years there. My last few roles were senior manager in the enterprise release management space, but then moved on to DevOps and enterprise DevOps for tooling and automation. After that, I moved to KPMG and their cloud client services and cloud advisory, and then on to HCL, where I was a part of the partnership between IBM and HCL for a number of the Rational products, ClearCase and ClearQuest, and the HCL versions of Version Vault and Compass. Outside of work, I'm a pretty fun time. I just completed culinary arts and chef school part-time. I'm also a certified beer specialist, a certified wine specialist, and that's why I love conferences in Vegas, is to not only talk shop with a lot of you, but all of these happy hours that I get to go to afterwards and drink on other people's dollars. So along for the ride with me today is my senior big data engineer, Chelsea Wallace.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here, and I hope you're having a great first day of Summit. As Tim said, my name's Chelsea. I'm a senior big data engineer on his team. I've been at Thomson Reuters for about a year and a half, so just ever so slightly longer than Tim. So I graduated from Queen's University in Canada in 2020 from a mathematics and engineering degree. And I'm excited to share our solution with you here today.
And before I go a little bit too further, it wouldn't be my job if I didn't embarrass Chelsea a little bit. On Friday, Chelsea just completed her Snow Pro Core exam certification. So congratulations to Chelsea for that. I hear it's a bit of a terrifying exam. I haven't taken it yet. So at any point, Chelsea may be able to give you some tips for the exam if you have it coming up. Sure you can. So let's start going through here who we are at Thomson Reuters. You may hear different parts of it or pieces of our name, like the Reuters News Service, but I'll touch on a couple of different aspects. When I was researching this, just kind of figuring out all of what we do at Thomson Reuters, I went to thomsonreuters.com, pulled up our products. We have over 150 products. Most of the stuff I don't even know yet. So we're going to focus on really four main areas that you may be aware of. So legal professionals. Lawyers, a lot of the legal profession uses Westlaw. So this is for looking at case law, federal statutes, state statutes, law journals, all sort of legal review done within the Westlaw product. If you think of all the legal publishing, if you're watching Law and Order and you see all those legal books on the wall, a lot of that is done by Thomson Publishing. HiQ is used by law firms to manage workflows. So all these lawyers, if they want to keep their documents, use HiQ in one space. So think of like a SharePoint and Teams together in one portfolio. Moving to corporates, so supply chain management and duty software, custom software, onto tax and accounting. So OneSource used for tax filing, tax preparation, transfer pricing. Your municipal government may use OneSource as a part of their property tax work. So but the name here you may recognize most is Reuters News. Started in 1851, now expanded out to 16 languages, billions of impressions worldwide on our website, Reuters.com. We had a town hall recently where some photojournalists who have been working on the war in Ukraine came and showed some of their work of what they've done. It's absolutely amazing work that they've seen. So if you have a chance, please check out Reuters.com for news and the work that they do in photojournalism. Now, touching on the work that we do as a part of platform engineering. So that first word in the smaller print there, infrastructure, is a lot of what our older work used to be as a part of data centers and infrastructure and hosting and network. But as we've moved to the cloud, a lot of our role has expanded into services and design patterns. So being able to create repeatable processes, put those in a repository for teams to take and use in their own area. But 5 main areas that we sort of work on within platform engineering: the overall program management through inception, fulfillment, delivery, all the way out to production. And then we need to support it. So we help those teams support it, as well as that ongoing maintenance. Financial tools to watch your cloud spend, but also importantly, your cloud waste. And then standards and guidance. This one was a big one for me at Rogers, and I'm glad to see we're doing it here too. A part of my role in DevOps is I had to chase teams who were using tools outside of our cloud center of excellence. At one point, we had 9 different code repositories, and we had to chase them all down. We had people who were using ClearCase. We had people using Subversion, 2 different versions of GitLab, one on a desktop under a desk, the other in a desktop in a closet that was prone to power outages. So we had to chase these people down, all move on to a single platform. So that's a lot of what we do here at Thomson Reuters as well, is to try to drive people through standards and use one set of processes. So let's get into Snowflake then, about what we use Snowflake for and the work that we do as a part of platform engineering, administering the platform. At last check, we had about 850-ish some odd users spread out across our 19 environments. We like to spread things out by application or assets. It's easier for us to track our spend and to track our work that way. But in the past 2 years or so, our user base has doubled, and the team's just the ease of use within Snowflake and the work that we've done to allow for self-service, which I'll touch on in a slide here. But 5 main use cases that we have: one towards our data warehouse. We all know the sort of capabilities of Snowflake as a data warehouse. But the big part for us was being able to decommission a lot of older technologies in our data centers by moving into Snowflake. So decommissioning Oracle workloads, decommissioning Hadoop workloads. Part of our team has actually decommissioned about 750 hosts and servers related to Hadoop. So all that reduced costs, reduced licenses, and has been as a result of Snowflake. Data lake. So we have a data lake team. So as I mentioned, Thomson Reuters being an acquisition company with all these products that we brought in, we need to be able to bring the data into our environment. So using tools like Fivetran, being able to take that data, whether it's raw or unstructured, into our environment, figure out what it's going to be, how it's going to look, and then moving it on to a new source. Analytical workloads, so that fast querying, being able to use it as a backend for our visual reporting. Teams use it for Tableau, Power BI. But something I'm particularly excited about and been working on as a project is our new marketplace entry. We have a marketplace entry today, but just not really fulfilling what we were hoping with it. So redeploying it, getting it back into that one-click idea of being able to click and share our data. So if you check back in a couple of weeks, you'll see something there today, but if you check back in a couple of weeks, very excited for what our new marketplace entry will be. So the work that we do, as I mentioned, we're not a data and application team. We're not a data pipeline team. We're a team that administers Snowflake for everybody. So we take care of contracts. We take care of the cost estimation. So if somebody knocks on our door, wants to start using Snowflake, we have a tool that teams use to fulfill what they think their environment will look like. So then when they get the bill, they know exactly what they're going to be getting themselves into. Once they're comfortable, we help with environment setup, getting them through different pieces of sandbox, proof of concept, pre-production, out to production, disaster recovery. Then as teams load their users, security administration. So we do credential rotation based on security standards at Thomson Reuters. They want us to rotate passwords constantly. But the big piece for us has been self-service. In each of our environment, we have delegated administrators who handle a lot of the functions for themselves in their environment. So we have about 30 APIs that we've created to allow teams to manage themselves, because even though we're administrators, we don't want to do a lot of the administration. We want to allow teams to manage that for themselves. We don't want to get a call at 2 a.m. to add a user. They can do that. So doing things like adding users, dropping users, creating warehouses, or about 30 different full functions that teams can do for themselves. We've also created dashboards, repeatable dashboards that we've created in Datadog. We've put those into JSON files, moving those into GitHub repositories, allow teams to take that, consume that, and then put that in their own Datadog environment so they can monitor their own metrics, monitor their own warehouses, all within the Datadog platform. We heard about some great new features today, so our team gets to be at the front of that. So we test those new features, especially the private preview ones in smaller areas, and then slowly start to roll that out to accounts. But so let's get into our problem of here today and why we use native alerts and email notifications, and a couple of problems that we had. Jurgens, who's our support manager over there, he sends us reports every 2 weeks notifying us of a whole load of long-running queries. So we had a major problem with teams just running queries that would run until they would get into that default timeout limit in Snowflake of 48 hours. If you're new to Snowflake, you may not know that there's a query timeout limit, but you'll certainly find that out quick when your support manager sends you reports every 2 weeks showing you all the, thank you for your reports every 2 weeks. But you'll definitely notice that when you start getting your reports in. So what's the issue here? What's the problem? Why does this matter? So when we would have queries that would be running long, this will block other queries from being able to run. So they will sit and queue and wait until their turn. So this is going to unnecessarily increase your credit consumption. So we did not have a good way of letting people know that this was happening. And that way was actually Chelsea. So Chelsea would be messaging people on Teams saying, are you aware that you have a long-running query? Oh, no, you can go cancel it. No, you can cancel it, and we show you how. So what we were looking for was a near real-time reporting solution to provide our users with notifications of current long-running queries and allow them to cancel those queries for themselves and allow the environment to keep moving. So I'm going to let Chelsea take over here for the next little bit. She's going to show you some of the solution of items that you could actually use in Snowflake today.
All right, thank you, Tim. So as Tim mentioned, we have over 800 users in our Snowflake environments today. Users have all kinds of different use cases, and we can't monitor to run longer queries than others. So we were looking for a solution for our users to make this. Oh, sorry about their long queries. So to do that, as Tim mentioned, we decided to use notification. So we're going to send emails to our users when they have long-running queries and let them decide if their query should continue or if they should cancel it. So the method that we're using for this is native alerts that trigger email notification integrations that email both our human and the owners of our service users within Snowflake. Just to note that we are using Snowflake on AWS in our solution. Okay, so I'm going to start by walking you through the view from the user, a user who has run a query that runs for over an hour, which is how we've set up our solution. So as a user, you submit your query. Maybe you go on to do another task. An hour later, or whenever our next alert runs, you're going to get an email. Your email is going to look something like the template that you see on the right side of the screen, and it's going to include the query ID, the Snowflake account you're running in, the username, database schema, and the number of hours that it's been running for. Our email is also going to provide you with the specific syntax of how you can cancel your query in the Snowflake UI. So as a user, you can choose to, when you receive this email, cancel your query if it doesn't need to be running, or you can leave it. If you leave it, your long-running query, if it runs for another hour, will be picked up by the next round of alerts. So to familiarize ourselves with the notification integration as well as the alerts that we are going to be using in Snowflake, we wanted to explore potential limitations that we can design around as part of our solution. So for the notification integrations, it's important to note that only 50 users per account can have their emails put under the allowed recipients of an email notification integration. And you can only have 10 integrations per account. So this limits us at a hard cap of 500 users that can be contacted. So obviously this is something that we wanted to work around and make good use of in our solution. And then also for notification integrations, to receive emails, users have to have verified their emails within Snowflake. And as administrators, we can't verify users. They have to do that themselves. We can encourage it, but we can't enable it. So these are things that we wanted to make note of moving forward. And then on the alert side, alerts are created on a per schema basis. In our solution, we only built like our proof of concept on one schema. So we didn't really run into anything with this, but we have some potential solution extensions that are going to address this potential limitation. And then it should be noted that alerts cannot be created on shared databases, and replication of alerts is not supported. So knowing this, we wanted to go forward and work around some of these limitations to make our solution useful and practical. So for the notification integration to overcome this 500 user hard limit, we decided that we were going to try to recycle the same one notification integration. So when the alert is run, we receive a list of users that have long-running queries currently, and we put those users as the allowed recipients of the notification integration so that we have the integration set up for the users that we plan to contact in that run of the solution. And I will show you more on that later. And then, as I mentioned, for the verification of emails, we can only encourage users to do that, but it should be noted that having a verified email as a Snowflake user is useful not only for our solution, but to receive notification about resource monitors on your warehouses, and also to access the support portal. Okay, so on to alerts. As I mentioned, in our proof of concept, we built on one schema, so we haven't addressed yet like the limitations set by alerts. And we have decided that we're going to live with not creating alerts on shared databases and not having our alerts be replicated to a DR region. All right, so I'm going to move on to a more detailed assessment of the solution. I'm going to walk you through the logic step-by-step of how it works, show you some pseudocode of what we've implemented, and then also where we ended up with limitations that we built around and some potential solution extensions. If the alert condition is met and a long-running query, at least one, exists, then the notification integration, the list of user emails that is in that integration, is updated. Then we retrieve the detailed information that we saw on the email template in a previous slide, and we retrieve all of that information so that we can use it to send the emails to our users. So at a lower level, this is a code sample. So you can see it's an alert created called POC alert. You can select your warehouse and the schedule on which it runs. At number 1 there, you see us checking if long-running queries exist, and if they do, we continue. And here we've defined long-running queries as queries that run for longer than 1 hour. If those queries exist, then we come down to point number 2 on the screen. We select a list of the emails associated with long-running queries, and we've limited that list to 50, with the longest running queries coming first. And then we alter the notification integration to set the allowed recipients to be those users. And then points 3 and 4 are repeated for each user in the list, where we fetch all the contents of the email and send the email using the notification integration. So point number 3 is where we fetch it. Point number 4 is where we send the email. And those are looped through for each row in the table that is retrieved with the long-running query information. And that's done using a cursor. So after all this, where did we end up with limitations on our solution? We have not yet handled having unverified user emails in the email notification integration. So that alter statement that I showed on the last slide where we update the list, if you have one user in that list that hasn't verified their email, the whole thing's going to break. It's going to fail. And obviously, this is something that is our next step in our solution extension. For point number 2 on the screen, for each schema, we'll have a standalone solution where that's going to limit the number of schemas that we can monitor with our solution. And again, this has been addressed in the solution extensions, which is going to be on the next slide. And then, as previously mentioned, for the alerts not being able to be created on shared databases and not being able to be replicated into a DR region, those are 2 limitations that we have decided to live with for this solution. So our top 3 solution extensions here, the first one would be removing users without verified emails so that they just don't show up in integration at all. Obviously, we wish that all of our users would verify their emails, but then again, I've logged into some of our Snowflake environments where my email's not verified, so I understand it. So we're going to do a big push to make sure that all of our users go through the process of becoming verified, and then hopefully we don't have too many people that we can't contact about their long-running queries. And then for point number 2 on the screen, This is the solution that I've come up with in my head and haven't put it in practice yet, about how we're going to deploy the alert across more than 10 schemas so that we're not limited by the number of notification integrations, because right now one solution is one schema and one integration. So the idea here is shown by the schematic on the right side of the screen, where the long-running queries for each schema, we're going to copy that information into one central table from which we send the emails. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And then third is an obvious extension. We have all this data on long-running queries, who's running it, where it's running, how long for, and if they choose to, and then we can pull the data of if they choose to cancel their query or if they choose to leave it running after receiving a notification. So this would be a great use of Snowsite dashboards to be able to show how our solution is working. So that's something that we're definitely looking forward to doing.
Thank you so much, and I really hope you enjoy the rest of your summit and the rest of Las Vegas. Thank you, everybody.